Depends on how you look at it, really. Either way, I'll start developing these folders at 3 in the morning to reach a deadline set by an over-eager art director. Don't get me wrong, Julius is good, has a vision, and knows what he wants, but damn, he can be too enthusiastic
Doesn't matter
sometimes.
when you couldn't sleep anyway.
There is nothing new in it, of course. After years of working as a freelance photographer, it's simply something I have grown used to. Get to know people, build a client base. You can work and cash in some late hours if need be. Rinse and repeat. It certainly takes a while to get some footing on the field, but it's the kind of thing that pays off in the long run as long as you keep at it. Given enough time, you might end up with big names on your client list. Names like the Wrights in particular. I never did pay much attention to them, but it's virtually impossible not to hear about them when a local news channel or paper has something to say on their name. A party here and a question there. Sometimes it's a new business venture, at other times it's the everyday gossip that typically follows popular people like them. Not in a million years did I ever imagine I would end up working for such a high-profile couple. In between that and the fuss that comes with, it leaves me no time to ponder over whatever happened to Isabella or why Ash is so adamant we keep away from the
They
pair.
do seem like the good folk, though, despite the whole fame thing.
Sure, there was a rumor running around years ago about him being involved in some business scandal. But just like every gossip blown out of proportion by the media, nothing came of it and eventually it simply died down. Much is definitely left to be said for the husband, but I doubt a woman like Miss Wright would pick him if he doesn't have any good points at all. Mrs. Wright, Hannah herself, though. She ain't particularly bad the way the press makes her out to be. The tabloids had it all wrong, that's for sure. For someone born with a silver spoon in their mouth, well, she ain't exactly what I was expecting. Among other things, the newfound friendship is what I least expected from her, but here we are. Although it was a life in public at the Wrights, no wonder it's the woman who often gets the crappy end of the stick. I can't help but feel sorry for her. She's a real nice person when given the chance. Heck, she might have even ended up friends with Rebecca and Isabella too, if they weren't living worlds apart. Probably. The bee quickly pulls me back before my thoughts travel any further. Was that Crazy Train? In one practice motion, I carefully place the wet print I'm holding on a drying rack and amble over my makeshift dark room to get the last photos from the water bath. Oh no, he's gonna find that gold picture in me of her that he took. I bet you. Inside the converted broom closet, the film processor lets out another soft click before going on in standby mode. As his mouth, a long photograph sits on the tray, barely visible with the lack of light. It's the last one tonight for the set Miss Wright requested. I don't usually make this a habit, giving away stuff, that is. It's bad for the business, no matter how well-intentioned or generous you are. This exception, however. She did treat me well and was a pleasant companion all throughout the shoot. Even if she didn't ask, I would have probably given her a few prints just for the hell of it. Miss Wright ain't such a bad subject matter to begin with. And maybe this is just me, but for someone who has everything at the palm of her hands, all the money in the world, a loving husband, and a plenty big mansion to call home, she's lonely. She doesn't just appear like it. It shows in the tone of her voice, how she moves, and most certainly in her smiles. Always hidden behind the glamour for the world to never see. Sometimes for people like her, small things like these helps. A little reminder that the world can be kind too. Water drips from the water as I blindly pick it up and gently lay it on another tray, holding a decent amount of photo flow. A few seconds under the solution is all it needs before it's ready for drying. No good rushing this last one, even if my body's already screaming for some decent snooze. My hand fumbles for the light switch, moving towards it with the familiarity, while I fish for a squeaky amount the mess of tools on the drawer with the other. The bulb flickers twice before it glows settles and casts a soft light into Tony's face. When I glanced back down, ready to finish the process and finally call it a night.
What on earth?
Her head is gone. What the hell? Bruh. Blurring distorted beyond recognition, rather. The area completely smudged over, leaving no traces of the same sweet smile the good woman carried in all the previous
Damn,
prints.
that was too careless.
A common mistake to make, of course, if one is negligent enough to pick a newly processed photo in the dirt, like I apparently did. It has happened before, loads of times actually. But I still can't help but feel a small pink confusion over one mistake a newbie would likely make. With a sigh, I reached out for the switch again, intending to develop a new one from scratch.
It could pass off for one of those supernatural pictures they show on TV, though.
Memory clicks, one dot in the sea of many in a short yet distant second from the day before. A glimpse is all I got, but it's enough to burn the image in my mind. There was a shadow. No. A woman. In her 20s or early 30s maybe. With how far gone her flesh alone had become. It's not impossible to tell at first glance. The skin itself has already taken a sickly pale color, rotting in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her body. Bony hands grip Miss Wright's neck like a noose. Standing in the skin underneath was a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but feels the gleam in her
Zachary.
eyes. Not for me, but for Miss Wright.
Zach, is something the matter?
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something I saw. Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
Memory alone's enough to make me rich. I brushed it off then. A trick of the eye, I told myself, or a product of the heat. The weather has been unexpectedly warm recently, so it shouldn't be too surprising for such things to happen. And while blaming this on the usual fatigue and overworked brain, the weather, or an amateur error on my part, is far more convenient. It makes a lot of sense that what the small voice inside my head whispers. The same tiny voice that only makes itself known when something's a foul. The same one that lent a curious ear to Isabella's worries about the mansion. And with each second I've been staring at this photographer, the murmurs in my head only grow louder against my ears. What? I have a chance to show the photo to the woman I took pictures of, because the ghost latched onto her in the photo, and that's why she looks so distorted and crazy and creepy like in the photo. Or I could show it to Ash, but man, I don't know. I think that'd be a good idea to show it to Hannah. I don't have an explanation of why I saw you today yet, but when you've been there, see something enough to raise the hairs at the back of your neck, or leave you wanted to flee or hide. Finding a more solid proof than a person's smudged off face on a photo is the least of my concerns. Ashton will definitely give me flack for saying that, or even considering Isabella's words and those silly tales about the place. The guy is skeptical through and through. I'll take more than my account for him to even give this a single thought. However, more than his opinion is Miss Wright I'm concerned about. Surely she must have felt something in these shows on TV are to be believed. A touch of coldness in her neck, or maybe the feeling of being watched. That's what often happens in it. Besides, the sun has yet to rise. I've still got a few hours before dawn. Good enough time to mull over how I'll go about warning her. Plenty of space to check if I get the same result if I redo the process again. The film professor hums back to life at my touch. The light switch gets off a soft click and darkness embraces the small closet again.
Somehow those urban legends don't sound so silly now.
In hindsight, this is a dumb idea. That is to say, walking to a client I barely know, home first thing in the morning, with news of a ghost lady potentially haunting their newly bought property. Oh, and that's a bunch of bizarre looking pictures of Miss Hannah I brought as proof too. So yeah, dumbest at the end of this history of the dumbest idea, all things considered. Traveling to the outskirts of Anselm village at the crack of dawn will only fool a bite at company equally so. Personally, I don't think any of them would take whatever I'm going to say well, no matter how nice or commending they are. Ashton himself would tell me the same thing. Odds are he'll laugh at it in my face for good measure, if he doesn't freak out at me first for not listening to his warnings. Girl, there's a whole separate can of worms I'll open at a different time, seeing as I'm already standing at the Wright's front porch. Wait for someone to answer the door. More than anything, Miss Wright needs to know there is possibly nothing safe in this place. Warnings from friends be
If only
damned.
someone would answer the door sooner. Come on.
Charlie ignored the looming presence their large ornate doors gave off, as I pressed the doorbell for the fourth time. A shrill ringing merely echoes, carried off by another warm passing breeze. The first time I came to this, I found myself backing in the silence it offers. None of the atmosphere, just heavy packed with trepidation and tension. Isabel's right, it does breed a creepy kind of vibe. With the image from the day being constantly flashing in my mind, the unease becomes harder to ignore as each second drifts by. Not wanting to spend more time here than necessary, I ring the bell again. Another long second ticks by without anyone answering the door. If this falls, I can always go to Ash. Not really the most sensible course of action but waiting here ain't doing me any good. For all I know, the Wright could be out of town. As luck would have it, just as I'm about to turn on my heel, a loud thump rises from the other side. It's followed by heavy footfalls and a string of very colourful but one's parentage.
That bloody annoying doorbell replaced yesterday. That Irish charge has cost me a fortune and she can't even fix this nuisance. And where the hell is... Your hands if another po-faced prat is pressing that blighted bell, I swear I'll cut that.
The door swings open and a very irate Mr. Wright greets me, his partly rumbled appearance a clear testament to how early the hour
And who
is.
might you be? I don't recall asking the movers to show up this early.
Prepared to face Mr. Wright, their butler more so. Mr. Wright, I don't quite know what to make of him yet. But the Shiny Hunter, this is a horror game called The Leather. I think you might like it. Happy New Year's. He surely knows how to make an impression, I'll give him that. A bit a rude one. I only caught sight of him yesterday as he's directing the movers. Although from how exquisite he sounded then, it seemed like more yelling was done than actually giving off or directions. Needless to say, I like to believe those instances ain't all there is to the guy Miss Wright at end of the day to marry him. Stand before him like now, though, it's a different story altogether. Despite differences in their respective heights, he manages to make it appear like he is the one looking down at me, not the other way around. An apology quickly forms my mouth before anything else when he arcs his eyebrow at the lack of response.
Well, that's not exactly why I'm here, Mr. Wright. Yeah?
Right, of course, the one and only. And what can I do for you this fine morning? Have I seen you somewhere before? Bloody peasants all look the same to me.
Yeah, I'm actually...
It doesn't matter. I don't care. I've got someplace important to be at today. Just spit out what you want or be gone. I haven't got all day.
His eyes are sharp and inspecting him in spite of his indifferent tone. The very impression of someone whose sharp wits have served him well throughout life. The kind you have to carefully choose your words around. It's concerning how a simple conversation can easily seem like a ruthless form of social maneuvering. I can see why Miss Wright would want to steer clear of it, if only for a short while. Uh, It sounds like the only way out of the game, to be honest.
I'm with Luxury Living, sir.
He eyes Mrs. Card I hand him with a completely passive expression. He turns it between his fingers without really reading the letters printed, before handing it back in the same blast manner one usually reserves for people below their station, or a nuisance. With him, it seems more the latter than the former.
Mr. Steele.
Just Zach would do, sir.
I can see why. You should hear what they say about my name. Although I'm of the opinion those don't sound as unpleasant as yours to the ear. Amusing what people can come up with in their leisure time, no? Well then, to what reason do we owe this second visit, Zach?
Right. Like I said earlier, I'm the photographer from Luxury Living. I'm here about the photo shoot yesterday, and...
His eyes narrow, that mouth tightening into a small frown, passive stance dissolving into a rigid one. It ain't a complete lie what I came here for, but it ain't the whole truth
Didn't
either.
you already wrap that one up?
Yes. Actually, sir, there was something I forgot to discuss with your...
And you had to show up at such an hour for something you forgot. Why wasn't there any notice about this little visit?
It was an error on my part, sir. I do apologize for not letting you know in advance.
Terribly unprofessional for someone going under the name of an esteemed publication like Luxury Living, if you ask me. Of course, even if there was a word of some sort, that butler does not check my emails as often as I would have liked. But straight up walking in here this early isn't the most sensible thing to do either.
The matter was a bit urgent, and my art director wanted it done as soon as possible before I hand him the finished prints.
Not my problem now, is it? A common courtesy would be to wait for replies before barging in. You do well to remember that. I once fired someone before they could even submit an application. Sent an email in the morning and suddenly sauntered in the office looking knackered mere hours after. Bloody Watkins. That aside, unfortunately you're going to have to come back some other day. You see, darling wife left not a moment ago. I have not an inkling where she went, or when she'll be back, so you're better off.
Love, is it the movers?
They stop speaking altogether, and the complete expression he has collapsed on itself. Slowly it turns as his wife walks up to him. Was a step too lively for comfort, a smile too sweet, to be honest. She's very likely heard everything her husband and I have talked
Going
about.
off somewhere.
I've got the few things I want them to transfer already. Marianne made this splendid arrangement for the music room and... Love, are you listening?
I thought you already left, Buttercup.
She musters a frown, a pout more like. The mischievous gleam in their eyes when she glances at me says all there is I need to know. I would laugh at her antiques if it wouldn't offend the other man, but as it is, it's better to let his wife have her fun without any reaction from me. I'm treading on dangerous grounds with him already.
Well, I most certainly have not left yet. I wouldn't be standing here if I did, would I?
Of course you wouldn't be, darling. But don't you need to be somewhere else today? Something with Marianne? Shopping, girl, things?
What's up, AJ?
Oh, I'll be leaving in a few. Unless you want to join us.
Oh, no, thanks, darling. I'm afraid my liver is killing me today.
I thought as much. You needn't have to worry. I'll be gone in a few. It's just that I heard we have a visitor. What kind of person would I be if I didn't greet him before leaving?
A very gracious one, I'm sure.
Zachary, right? Zach? It's a pleasure to see you again.
Likewise, ma'am. I was actually looking for you.
Is that so? What for?
A huge display of unprofessionalism is what it's for.
Shush, darling. Let the man speak. I'm sure it isn't anything like that if he has to come all the way here, yes?
It's about yesterday. The photos you asked, I mean. The copies are ready, but...
My hand steals as I'm about to fish the prints out of my pocket. A short second passes, that what strikes me how I didn't think this through at all. How I'll go about telling her regarding the strange photos, or revealing this to her in the presence of another person. Her husband been gazing over us like a hawk doesn't provide any sort of comfort either. And just like that, all the words I have been practicing to say on the way here inevitably fall stiffly off my mouth. Miss Wright must have noticed my hesitation. before shortly she gives her husband's arm a gentle squeeze, a tender smile gracing her face. Unlike the first, this one is meant to appease.
Love, I think Hansi might need some of your input for the final guest list. Could you check on him, please?
Bollocks! Why in all Luxborn do I have to be there? Doing tedious jobs are what he's being paid for.
Because if we end up with people whose faces you do not want to show up in our housewarming party, we won't be hearing the end of it. Unless a heavy dose of liquor's involved. You know what the doctor said about that. Please do poor Hansi and your liver a favor,
He can handle that on his own, Buttercup. And my liver is doing just fine.
I'm sure it is. But I don't know, love. I think I caught a glimpse of the name Mitch Lakes, was it? I think it was Mitch Lakes on it when I checked with Hansi earlier. You should see for yourself. It was quite a list.
Who put that blighted twat in there?
And that's why I'm asking you to look over it before I do so tonight.
Very well.
Even with that promise, he doesn't appear ready to leave. Sure, I passed him through their doors. He stops and glances back at me. I was ill, bothering to hide the distrust in his
Luke,
eyes.
dear, I'll be fine. Go back to your butler. I'm not some pregnant wife you have to worry about.
Fine. I have to go to that little ankle biter's career day later anyway. I don't see why I have to go there. Kylie's your goddaughter.
And yet, she has you around her little fingers, darling. That's basically the same thing.
If he ever has an answer to that, we don't get to hear about the heavy thud the door makes, and Miss Wright's own weary exhale after she's sure her husband's out of earshot. She's nothing but apologetic when she reaches her gaze back to me, and I can't help but return the same
I'm
of her.
so sorry you had to deal with that. My husband can be a bit trying when he really applied himself.
What's up, Leah? Hello, Noah. Happy New Year.
It's fine, Miss Wright. No harm done. It was my fault for showing up here unannounced. And this might be strange coming from me, but he does have the right to be wary. The press can be quite vicious when it wants to be.
Caught unexpectedly, they'll pick you apart. It's not surprising why he acted the way he did around me.
Sweetie, if Luke treats every journalist who shows up here like that, I'm afraid we'll end up with a harassment lawsuit hanging over our heads sometime in the future.
Wishing you a great 2025, and you.
Vicious or not,
Hope you're
some
doing
sort
great
of
too.
finesse has to be exercised when dealing with them. I'm sorry, I hope that wasn't too offensive.
Not at all, Miss Wright. Besides, I don't think an interior design magazine would be interested in who harassed who this week. Unless it has something to do with fighting over tastefully arranged furniture. But even then, I don't think our readers will be too interested.
Oh, dearie. You've got a lot to learn. You really have no idea how a single tassel can ignite a spark in a crowd.
Hi, Leah and Noah. Happy New Year.
Of course, at the end of the day, it's still the thought that counts. It's still a lovely anniversary gift from my husband. No matter. Let's just go.
She doesn't wait for an answer and immediately wanders over a car parked some distance from us. Unsure, I find myself trailing after her. Chauffeur automatically opens the passenger side door as she nears. She gestures for me to follow when she climbs into the back seat.
Where are we going exactly?
I need to get out of this stuffy house for a while. Moving in, planning the party. It's starting to get suffocating in there. Luke and Hansi can have their fun while I'm gone. I don't care. I'm getting out because I can. Another minute in there and I'll drown.
My bike.
There are, of course, a lot of things questionable about their invitation. Why she's asking a person she has only known for less than 2 days in the first place is one. How appropriate this is being another. But the rest of it crashes the moment she shoots me an imploring look.
Please? I can have someone send it back to your address later. And it's just a trip to the city for some furniture, nothing more, I assure you. Marianne will be with us, and maybe you can tell me why you're here on the way.
Guess it wouldn't hurt. I might have to leave early, though.
Excellent, then. Hop in. That's what they often say, yes?
It can't be a good idea, but I really don't have any other choice, do I? Especially with the way her eyes light up when I agreed to it. In my pocket, the very picture of her remains faceless. a voiceless shadow hanging threateningly between us, unknown to her. If someone told me I'd be spending my entire morning being dragged around half of downtown, around looking for furniture, I probably would simply smile at them, then perhaps even give them a good friendly pat on the shoulder, wish them a nice day. Not that I find anything wrong with this at all. On the contrary, this is most definitely a nice change of pace after weeks of getting bogged down by several freelance gigs and shutting myself inside my apartment whenever I can. If only the weather would be a whole lot nicer, the con with less sun and more clouds perhaps. With the mid-morning sun slowly beating down on us as high noon approaches, I can see why Mr. Wright skipped out on this trip. The bright side is, the whole thing seems to have put Miss Wright in a less somber mood. After the fifth store, her pace is considerably livelier, her gesture less guarded than the one she displayed at the mansion earlier. The presence of another person might have helped as well. Although Miss McCullough seems less predisposed to small talk, preferring to keep to herself most of the time and let Miss Wright lead us whenever. She did acknowledge me with a small nod, and we were introduced earlier. But that didn't make getting inside the store together any less awkward while we wait for our client to finish her inquiry inside.
Interior design, huh?
She cast me a sidelong glance before returning to her notes again, her pen scratching faintly against the paper in quick, successive strokes. Ah, there goes that. I did say I'm not any good at starting or keeping conversations going, didn't I? She just looked back up again, and I take that as my cue to stop any attempt of striking a dialogue with her, and kept myself occupied with some other thing. Except what we have here is just looks around in its busy streets. People going about their daylight normal, cars moving in and out of sight, heading to who knows where. Nothing remarkable, really. The ease with such a person can fade into the background here is reflective of the kind of city Lookburn will always be, but the humdrum's one thing I learned to live with. Needless to say, it doesn't usually stay that way. There are times when I would come alive, make itself known, reassert itself back to the world. However, those moments are few and far in between. Then again, with what graces the news channels lately, I'm starting to think it's going to happen sooner. Can't say I'm looking forward to what it'll bring.
Luxury living, is it?
Her voice effectively cut through my thoughts because as I count the 13 passer-by wearing a hat today. Beside me, I can hear the faint rustling of paper and the clicking of her pen as she dashes them back to her bag.
Excuse me, what?
The magazine you're working for. It's Luxury Living, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. You've been featured by them before, I take it?
A few years back, yes. For just some issues. My designs still appear from time to time, though not as frequent as before. Gotta have room for new talents, right?
It may not show in her face, but the pride is evident in her voice.
Good folks, the people running the publication. Tell me, is DK still on the editorial team?
Nah, I wouldn't know. I've only started taking jobs from them this year. Freelancer, you know.
Good man, that guy. Anyone in our field should meet him. He had a lot of things to say about art, all of them relevant. Learned a lot from him, actually, even if we both came from two different fields. I hope he's in a good place. I haven't talked to him in a while. Anyway, your portfolio must have been good if they gave you the job. They don't easily assign big features to freelancers like this.
I wouldn't say I am, but experienced, you know? The more you practice it, the more you learn the tricks of the trade. That kind of stuff.
I know what you mean. Still, you've got to keep up with the competition. Each year, a new talent emerges, and, well, you never know. Clients can be a bit fickle-minded with their choices. Believe me. Speaking of, do you think you'd be up for a new client after this?
I think so. Depends on how big the project is.
She reaches into her back again. This time to pull a business card which she hands over to
When
me.
you're free, send your portfolio to Chris. He's my assistant. He's been looking for a decent photographer to help with updating the studio's portfolio. Nothing urgent, but the sooner the better.
Not sure if I'll have the time to squeeze this in. But, alright, I'll give it a go once.
Marianne, could you look this over for me?
At that very moment, Miss Wright emerges from the door. When I look back to Miss Kahala, a mask of professionalism has returned to her. Or at least that is what it's trying to be. There's a different light in her eyes as she faces her, a flicker of familiarity and recognition. I say it's fondness, but that would be too presumptuous. Whatever it is doesn't last, and it briskly switch under the firm tone her voice
Definitely.
assumed.
Is there a problem?
They said they don't have the colors you suggested. Do you think we can change it around for a bit? It might take a while if we insist what we want, and you know I'd rather not worry about this later.
I think it'd be better if I handle this one myself. Excuse me.
She walks into the shop without another word, leaving the two of us standing outside. As soon as she's out of earshot, however, Miss Wright lets out a giggle and swipes the business card cleanly off my hand. She smiles at bemused little thing spreading across her face and waves the card in front of me. I wish she'd do that more often, the smiling thing. I suits her more than the other one she frequently shows to the media.
I look away, and the next thing I know, you're picking up women. On the streets, while the sun is high, no less. I'm not sure if I should be appalled or amazed. Whatever happened to the Zack I met a day ago? About as tall as you. Photographer. Quite the gentleman. To tell you the truth, I'm a bit disappointed he's gone.
It ain't like that, Miss Wright. And I'm sure Miss McCullough is not the kind of woman to let herself be picked up by strangers, let alone people she barely knows.
Oh, shush. Let me have my fun. And didn't I say you can call me Hannah?
He gets the card back to me nevertheless, and with it her mood fades into a more possessive one. Nod looks settles on her face, yearning, a bit wistful, as she looks back towards the shop's display window. There's nothing remotely interesting in it for me when I follow her line of sight, though. A few trinkets here and there, a fur rug, a sofa, a wooden side table. And a lamp all tastefully picked and arranged to reassemble a typical antique living room. We're back. I'm back. Yes.
Lights off, but you cannot move when the lights on. You have 5 moves to get to me. Are you ready? How'd you get up? You're scaring me. I told you not to turn on the light.
On second thought, it does look comfortable, but why they added a crib beside it baffles me. I left the course to people they're hoping to market. Oh yeah, I'm reading the game, sorry. To our adults who already have children or are about to have one, then maybe it is fitting. Particular choice of decorations aside, it does make for a nice icebreaker if it's not on the same level weird and completely out of the blue. Still leagues better than the awkward silence, which is definitely too out of character for a personality like Miss Wright Hannah's. How should I start the conversation?
Oh, I think that one looks cute.
Hannah balks, to my surprise, stiflingly 2 steps away from the window and glares at it with such vehemence as if it did something remotely scandalous. A funny sight when taking it in context, and I probably will be laughing really if I understand what warrant such reaction from her.
I wasn't looking at the crib.
I wasn't really talking about the crib, Hannah.
Very good then. But it wasn't the crib, all right.
Alright, I get you. But that's not it. Honest. I was just saying the stuff that was on display there looks nice. Or at least as nice as it can be compared to the ones we visited earlier. But I'm sure your interior designer has something different in mind for your mansion, so don't mind me.
I was hoping that would be enough to cut the topic short. Instead, she sighs, leaning on the wall closest to her, and runs her hand through a lock of her hair. There is a far-flung look in her eyes as she even fixes it on the concrete curb.
You need to stop looking at people like that, sweetie.
I'm afraid I don't quite catch your drift, ma'am.
I suppose you wouldn't be aware of it. Do you know you always carry this kind of phase? Like you're always staring at the world with this honest look. Like all there is to see is all the good in it.
Frankly, I don't see anything wrong if it's like that. I mean, there always has to be something in it. You know, a sprinkle of kindness here and there. Otherwise, we'd all be miserable.
For you, maybe. Some people have to fight through it just to see that. And kindness isn't always a great thing to have around. Sometimes too much of it can hurt.
Makes you wonder where this is coming from, how bad things have really gone for her to have this view. I do understand her sentiment, really I do. Still, when's the last thing you can cling to when things have gone visibly bad? Sometimes you simply don't get to make a choice.
Besides, the point is, it's impossible to lie when a person is looking at you like that. Or I could, but I'd feel like a horrible person afterwards. Did you hear that, Mr. Zack? You just made me feel like a horrible person. I sort of wish I had one like it. Just so people would stop lying to my face.
Or you can start by being honest with yourself. It shouldn't be quite hard. Friends don't lie to each other, don't they?
I guess so.
So what was the lie?
She draws in a breath, like a soothing hand to her stomach, and
That it was really the crib I was looking at earlier, silly. You're right, Uncle Zach. It's cute, but the pattern's not to my taste. I'm pretty sure Marianne could do something about that, though. At the moment, what I should really be worried about is if I'm ever going to be a good mother to this child.
she's pregnant. I'm telling you, she's pregnant.
Ned, I can't even tell the father he's going to be one in a few months' time.
She was okay. So they had some food, and then later on that night she starts throwing up. So I think that she's pregnant because whatever child she's carrying, depending on, you can have some night/morning sickness with carrying a child. Now it doesn't say that she's pregnant, but I think that she is pregnant and she's starting to throw up.
Probably doesn't even want anything to do with this whole pregnancy thing. What am I going to do, Zach? Because right now, I'm absolutely at a loss.
Oh.
I beat.
Oh!
Bruising strikes me like a ton of bricks suddenly bearing down on me. More than astonishment must have shown in my face, because Hannah let Sarah chuckle with the slump under her shoulder disappear altogether underneath from her.
Don't look so surprised, dearie. Tied the knot 7 years ago, remember? Don't you think it's bound to happen?
She brandishes her hand in front of me, the reassuming silver band on her finger, glistening appearing to late morning sunlight for a second. She eyes lovingly, almost tenderly, despite the trace of sadness in her voice. For all I know, there's an entire story there I'd ask, but that would be too inappropriate even for friends. Not my place to meddle to
Or at
begin
least
with.
that's what they've been saying early on. My whole social circle would be saying it's a long time coming.
But the kid is something you want, right? Because if it ain't, then that's a whole other problem.
Of course. I wouldn't deny I've been hoping to have him or her for a long time now. But then, now that we're here, all of a sudden, there are a whole lot of other things to be worried about. Business, a new home, public image, my own husband, and I don't know. I didn't really have anyone for a role model. I practically grew up with nursemaids pampering me every step of the way. What if it happens to this baby as well? Oh, I can already see how this will end.
Huh. I guess it's not just my sister.
What?
You and my sister. I mean, you're both having jitters or something like that. That's what it's called, right? First baby jitters? Mind you, she was really convinced she'd do everything wrong then. He even called me in the middle of the night. Asked to switch places the day she found out she's carrying a new member of the family. Never mind how utterly impossible her request is.
I'm quite sure I haven't done anything of that sort yet.
Oh, you don't know that? My brother-in-law has been telling me things 5 weeks into my sister's pregnancy. Said she's one cranky pregnant lady. Man, good thing I found a place for myself years before that bundle of joy arrived, huh?
It can't be that awful.
Who knows? I think we'd better leave it for Mr. Right to decide, yeah?
Provided he comes around. He just sounds so repulsed every time the idea is brought up.
Then maybe you should say it to his face. No mincing of words or beating around the bushes.
And if he says no?
You haven't even told him yet. Besides, that's his kid. Don't people usually say fatherhood changes men? I wouldn't call myself a living testament, of course. But there ought to be something that will hit him in that idea alone.
A wrecking ball would be nice.
Laughter escaped me before I can stop it, and for a moment I thought I had done something wrong when she doesn't join in. He's still her husband no matter what jest or complaint she hurls about him behind the media's eyes, or in the presence of people she trusts. What she does, her chuckle, a small hesitant sound at first. I find the rest of my unease slipping
Well,
away.
whatever it is, my point is, you've got no idea what will happen. In the same way, you don't know if you'll be a good mom. Trust me, my sister's been there. It's perfectly normal. If, my opinion matters, though,
Last second of indecision to goes by. I can feel her eyes filled with nothing but curiosity boring into me while she waits for the rest. It's a simple sentiment, but one thing I think she still needs to hear for all the doubt she unwittingly places on herself. I'm just not sure she should come from me. I'll be damned.
I think you'll be a great mother, Hana.
She has an answer to that. I don't get to hear it, nor does she get to say it. As soon as it is my move, the bell hanging over the antique door chimes, and out comes Miss Kahala. For more than one reason, I have never been so relieved or taught that
Everything's been taken care of for tomorrow, Mrs. Wright. You'll have everything you requested delivered early. I've left them instructions, but I may have to visit again right before your housewarming party to check for a few things. I hope that's acceptable to you.
More than Marianne. This is a little early to say, but you did marvelous work with the mansion. I can't wait to see all of it come together tomorrow.
I'm only doing my job, ma'am. Needless to say, it's always a pleasure to hear a client is satisfied with my work.
Nonsense! You have every reason to be proud. I know you've already established your name here, but I'll still make sure word gets out, of course. I think I've got a few friends who might be interested in decorating their homes. I'll see if I can introduce you to them tomorrow.
I really don't want to impose, Mrs. Wright. There's still a lot to be done, and I'd rather be keeping an eye on it myself.
You know well enough I'll still do it. You too, Monsieur le Photographe. You better be the one taking the pictures for the event tomorrow, or I'll be very upset.
I blink at her confused. Last I checked, I had nothing scheduled on my plate tomorrow. A couple of fleeting thoughts to craft my mind like working on personal projects, with the expectant expression on Hannah's face alone. I wondered before how they got Isabel to sell in the mansion, and with all the paperwork and the loot they have to go through. Well, now the how is already standing in front of me, and it's one giant ball of perspiration in human form. What's up, Bradley? Hello, Tony. But having doubts how she got around life, although I have been dispelled right this instant. Hannah hasn't said anything yet, but I already know what my answer will be.
What event?
Our housewarming party, dearie. I've already sent invites through your publisher. They should have informed you of it by now.
I may have probably missed it. I haven't gotten the chance to check my mailbox yet. Deadlines, real life happenings, they can be pretty hectic. I'll try later, but they might have already assigned it to a different photographer if they haven't received my reply yet.
That's not a problem. Nothing a little call from me can't fix. I'll have them know I'm specifically requesting for your presence. It shouldn't be too hard. Just promise me you'll show up. I expect to see you both there. No excuses.
Good company, good music, good food. Of course I'll be there.
Lovely. I hope we have that settled then. I'd love to stay and chat, but unfortunately I have an appointment scheduled with the doctors after this. You two will have to excuse me.
Are you feeling fine, ma'am?
It's nothing big.
She's pregnant, I'm telling you. There's a short while in which her hand faintly touches her stomach when she says this. She's pregnant. Her smile, she does so a tender thing in itself. She might never let it cross her mind, but motherhood pursue her. The kid is already loved, even when he or she has not to have a sense of the world. Can't do moments like this. I wish I had brought a camera.
Sorry we had to cut this short. I'd love to have lunch with you two, but, well, you two know how it goes.
It's quite fine, Mrs. Wright. I need to get going as well.
Is it somewhere far from here? I can have my driver drop you off on the way.
No, please. There's no need for that, Mrs. Wright. It's just within the city.
I see. What about you, Zach? We did leave your push bike at the mansion. Don't worry, I'll have someone bring it to your home later.
Nah, I live within the city too. A few blocks from here, in fact. I only visited earlier because...
Photos. Damn, I had completely forgotten about them. My hand grazes the side of my pocket where I kept them since this morning. And sure enough, they're still there, waiting for the whole world to see them.
Because? Zach, sweetie, you're zoning out.
Miss Hana, earlier, At the mansion? I think it would be better if you take a look at these yourself.
Seeing is believing, right? I reach into my pocket and pull out the photos, handing everything to her. Recognition flickers across her eyes when she reaches for them, and I have to damp down the tiny twinge of regret in my stomach for having to get out to show it to her. Only it cuts deeper the instant between her and Miss Gala's expression changes. And it's not a good look. To say she's repulsed would be a total understatement. All the time, Hannah had been nothing but direct, saying what she feels, expressing what she wants. Away from the glamour and the camera lenses, she's a whole different person. And as she goes through each of the photos, I can't get an easy read on her.
Zach, dearie, what is this?
Your photos. The ones you requested copies of. I mean, they came out that way, and I thought you should know.
Oh, I get it. You know, I've heard before that artists can be a bit weird. Have you ever gotten that kind of comment, Marianne?
Not in my line of work, I'm afraid. Or ever, Mrs. Wright. I'd rather keep my personal hobbies away from my actual work. Less stress that way.
Well, I suppose it just never crossed my mind that the saying applies to you as well, Zach. But talent's what's important, hmm? As long as you make good art, it doesn't matter.
Oh, no, that's... You see, when we had that photo shoot yesterday, there was something.
I wouldn't say I don't appreciate it. I did ask for copies, darling. But would it be possible for you to give me normal-looking ones? Preferably with my head intact. I admire the effort you took to edit this, though. It looks authentic. Frankly, if I show this to some other person, they'd probably believe those silly rumors about the mansion. Good publicity, but not the kind I'd want for my new home. So please.
She upped them back in her hands like they were very separate
If
burns
you
for her.
could redo this, that would be wonderful. I'm positive you can do a better job than the one you just showed. Just try to keep the edits to a minimum,
Yeah. I can, sure.
You can take your time, of course. And speaking of time, I really must go.
She leaves it so much as a wave. I don't have to take a guess to know I'm dismayed her, or in her own words, weirded her out. Beside me, Michaela shakes her head. What are the odds I've also ruined my chance of the job she offered earlier? Very high, I'd say. It's a foolish idea in the first place. Had taken the lead, muttering something about getting a quick lunch before pitching. I don't know what or who. It must be important for her to be in this kind of hurry. And while she doesn't seem to be fond of small talk, something we can both agree on. Like some good or what around the city, maybe. When the sun is hot as it is now, nah. And after I think with Miss Hannah when I simply can't muster the appetite of anything at the moment. If I don't do anything with it now, I have this impression it will rear its ugly head again. And by then, things might be too late to fix. What other choice do I have? Ash, Rebecca? In all likelihood, all they'll give me is a pat on the back and AZ man, go get some sleep. You're at it again from Ash. I like to talk to Isabella, but I haven't seen her around since she showed up at my apartment 2 days ago. Weird. There is one person though.
I should have thought of that first.
So it turns out I do have another choice. I'm not a religious person, but I won't identify myself as such. Or rather, I can't. Sure, my grandparents didn't have to force me to go weekly. I'd happily joined them. In fact, most of my childhood Sundays have been spent attending service. It's simply that, as you get older, the more experiences you get forming your own beliefs on things becoming easier, for the lack of a better word. And at one point, it just stopped, that kind of thing. Nevertheless, I hold no disdain for it. Sometimes it does help. When things are really, really bad, when the dreams won't stay where they should be. Talking does a bit. It's also a good thing Father Norman's, well, he not completed the Potsos man you typically expect. My unlikely friendship only probably happened because he's the kind of guy who's cool with the young ones, as so he aptly puts. And surprisingly, it makes him easy to approach. Like the one time with Isabella. I don't think he believes in the ghost kind, but there he went. Maybe he has something to say about the photos as well. It won't hurt since I've already gone ahead and went to Enslin at daybreak on my bike. At the very least, I know I wouldn't get shouted at by whoever
Unless
answers the
someone
door.
does that inside a church. I highly doubt it.
Despite its age, Luxburn Church is a thing of wonder in itself, with its high vaulted ceilings and stained glass windows. One of the many gifts Emerald family donated to the community in its early days. Rest of her I heard from Rebecca. She mentioned this once, although most of it flew over my head then. At this time of the day, the church is most empty, save for a few visitors and ushers shuffling about, some muttering their prayers under their breath. The scene of burning candles and incense permit the air, giving the place a general feeling of reverence. Pretty welcoming, all in all. Even so, I keep the noises my treads make to a minimum, disturbing the quiet feels like I sing alone. An usher points me to a pew in front of the altar when asked where Father Norman prays. He mentions something about the good priest not being in good health. Ever since he did a favor for a friend to bless an old house. This is the first time in days he's left his room. No surprise there with the weird heat lately, even Rebecca caught something. Nervous little chap, the kid, nevertheless. He leads me close to the foot of the dais with a reminder not to stay too long before walking off. Seconds later, Father shifts and stands. He doesn't seem to have noticed me, and I have to give him a little tap on the shoulder. When he looks, though, say surprise is an understatement.
Stay away.
Bro. His voice comes out a whisper, almost inaudibly in the hush. A question of restrained indifference to where we both are standing. But the tremor is there. He focuses on me with wide, bulging eyes. A minute of sweat appearing on his forehead despite the relative coolness of the place.
Father Norman?
Keep your distance.
Hey, it's me, Zach, remember?
Stay away. Don't come near me.
Must be the fever talking or whatever he caught. It has to be. I don't recall ever doing anything for him to drive me away like this. In all the years I've known him, he's been nothing but polite, nothing but accepting of the people, regardless of beliefs or status in life. For words akin to a threat to come out of him is simply beyond
Come
unimaginable.
back to where you came from. Leave.
Father, what did I do?
Leave now.
I extended a hand to his shoulder, meant to be reassuring, but he recoils, his ankles catching on the edge of the dials as he backs away. A shout when I attempt to reach out again echoes through the entire hall, catching the attention of a few people inside. I try to keep a level tone, but with the stranger's eyes trained on a panic starts to weave its way into
Stay
me.
away, demon. Go back to the hell you came from.
Father, it's okay. I only came here for some pictures I thought looked odd. I figured you might know something.
From my pocket, I fixed out the folders and tried to hand it to him. Did he strike my wrist away? I must look at an accusation and sent the photographs fluttering uselessly to the floor. Helpless, I can only watch as he curls into himself on the ground, a sad, blubbering mess, whimpering to himself. He tips his head toward and begins rocking, his hands clapped over his ears.
The cursed spirit, so full of anger and pain. All those horrible things I've seen. I can't sleep. I can't eat everywhere I look. Go away. Go away. Go away. You're not supposed to be here. This is a house of God. Be gone, demon. Lord have mercy, God our Lord, King of ages, all powerful and almighty. You create everything and transform everything simply by your will.
A number of people have moved closer, mostly just the Gawk, thankfully as if to save him from being another spectacle. Two ushers come out, taking him away. One in the kid from earlier shoots me an apologetic look. Can't even return it to him. Anxiety is a powerful thing, a firm little notion that clings, eats, and consumes you. can still hear his prayers even if they drag him
May
away.
he keep at bay and vanquish every evil power, every poison or malice invoked against us by corrupt and envious people. Then under the protection of your authority may we sing in gratitude.
It rings, hums in me as I am left to pick up the pieces of this chaos. Back to square one we go. If there is salvation in this, I hope we find it soon. The moon is well into the night. God, by the time I make it back home. The heavy treads and the sound of traffic outside echoes in my ears, filling the empty room with some semblance of life. Nana would scold me if she ever hears me walk like that, but after today, I really can't give a damn about everything. The mattress creaks under my weight as I flop down on it, and I find myself looking at the paper under my grip. I promised Miss Wright I had my bike delivered back to my apartment. Found that part in the rack downstairs was an invitation and a note tacked to it, in fact. Be there, it said. If only it were that easy, but it'll give me a chance to talk to her. But that thing in their house. With a sigh, I let my hand fall to the side of the bed along with the invitation. I'll think about it tomorrow when my head ain't muddled with thoughts of a headless woman and the haunted smiles of a ghost. Lately, it occurs to me I haven't eaten anything since I left this morning, and an empty, gnawing ache makes itself known, but I can't bring myself to stand up. Today was a complete waste of time and frankly a disappointment. I don't like this. The lack of certainty, the lack of stable ground to stand on, the part where I don't know what will come tomorrow. Ever since the damn letter, everything has been thrown out of the loop. I wish everything stayed the same. Routine would have been easier to make sense of than this. Closing my eyes, I'll let the noise from the streets below lull up me to sleep. At the very least, that's the one thing that hasn't changed. Melody carries into the hall long before I cross the threshold, solo but gently and soothing, a reminder of what home is. Pa's firm but meaningful gaze, Ma's wistful smile, the warm rays fluttering through the eaves at sunset, the distinct smell of wet earth and leaves after a long day's rain in our room. The room on Pa's pride and joy, a place we were once promised several springs ago. Yet it won't stop.
No, wait! Come back! I'll be good this time! Please don't leave! Please stay!
Floorboards are cold under my feet more than it usually is, the wall more forbidding than what I'm used to. Further and further the room goes. Ma singing ceases in Pa. I can't hear Pa. And about the righteous clanging and the deafening roar of gunshots, nor the screams replacing the comforting soft melodies. There is only the blinding fear. But when the light breaks, her skin has already taken a sickly pale color, rotting in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lynching on her body. Bony hands grip Hannah's neck like a noose, thinning the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but feels the gleam in their eyes. A scream rippled through the air. My whole body feels distinct. Every limb heavy and lead, all unable to move at will. Even so I can wipe the beads of sweat forming at my temple. The rasping of my breath easily filled the room in the wee hours while I force it back into a steady rhythm. There's a tightness in my chest I can't shake off. My heart pounding against. Something cold has settled into my legs. Not the usual chill that comes and goes with the passing breeze from the window. One strong enough to sting. Shackle lever, frigid sensation creeping up my skin. With every struggle I make, the pressure winds firmly around my legs. Tighter and tighter. Until it becomes too much. My heart stops. The draft sweeps into the room and brings with it the iron tang of blood. Thick. Suffocating. Feeling my nose with a foul, sickening smell as I shift my gaze downwards and it slowly comes into view. Dude. Mouth stretched in a hideous smile and eyes brimming with nothing but madness. The stench of gore taints the air around me and I can't look away. from the terror and death that her uncanny twisted features alone scream. I try to open my mouth to shout, to ask for any help. My voice has left my body altogether. All I have is the painful realization that no kind of plea will ever save me from her. It's only the big dip. Brutal plung back into itself, jerked me awake. There was no ear-splitting scream, no wild thrashing off of limbs. It's a painful, constricting awareness that something has wounded itself tightly around my neck. I wasted no second pulling a blanket away, but allowed myself a few minutes to steady my breathing before getting off the bed. Inhale, hold, exhale. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. But the dreams have gotten worse. Ever since 2 days ago, no longer are they still small, curtsy flashes that I'm used to, but vivid ones that linger. I can still feel the blood in my hands. Picture smell rotting flesh, the sickening crunch of bones breaking with every movement, and her cold, chilling eyes as they bore into me. I draw in one long, ragged breath, and before I know it, I'm walking out the door. Even in the waking world, it reeks. A bench on the park is far from the most private place for thoughts, considering its location at the heart of a bustling city. But in the early hours of the morning, it provides enough peace and quiet for any poor, problematic soul who happens to wander here. Sitting just waking out a little later than usual. But knowing what day it is, one can't fault it for being a little tardy just this once. Yet neither the pleasant morning chill nor the sweet twittering of birds does anything to banish the images. Every single one has rooted itself in my head, claws digging deep in what is no longer a safe place to hide in. It used to be easy, finding some protest of peace under the gods, a sheer optimism, following regular routine. Now, I don't know what to make of it. Sometimes it's easier to run, easier to hide when everything's falling apart. That way you don't have the first to witness it when it does.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down.
That's just how it is. Maybe it really is better if I just eat Kylie and Zachary. Okay. Tiny boy give me a pause. While I look at a little girl, maybe about 6 or 7, is peering at me. 2 wide eyes overflowing with what can only be the natural curiosity one typically sees in children. Vaguely note the same already uniform she's wearing before returning her greeting.
Hey, kid.
Kylie.
Kylie?
That's my name. Mama said it's rude not to call people by their names.
She then flops down the empty space beside me. Her little legs, still too short to touch the ground, swings in tune with the song she hums under her mouth. I don't mind kids. Nana would often invite the ones in our old neighborhood to give them treats. Of course, by then Sis and I were both too old to play with them, but you get used to the commotion eventually. It's not completely as unpleasant as most people would imply. Kylie seems to be a well-behaved kid anyway.
Sorry, nice to meet you, Kylie. Is Mama here?
No, but my big brother's with me. He's taking pictures with his camera over there.
She points to the far end of the park, the one closest to the streets where a kid is taking shots of something above him. It doesn't look to be birds because all there is on the side of the park are buildings.
I don't see what's so interesting with the tip of a building, though. I'd take pictures of dogs if I were him. They're cuter. Do you have a camera too, mister?
Yeah, I'm actually a photographer.
Mama said I'm too young to get a camera.
I'm sure your mama will eventually give you one. But won't you be late for school like this?
Big brother will get us there on time. Rowan promised Papa. We aren't going to be late. It's sports day. So it's not good if you keep looking like that today. If it ends up raining and we lose, it's your fault.
All right, I'll try not to upset the clouds today, kid.
Is it because you're sick, mister?
Before I know it, a smile has spread over my face. They say kids ask the toughest questions sometimes, and they sure do with how sincere Kylie looks. Lying feels like doing her a huge disservice.
No, not sick. Just having a very, very bad day.
Why is that? Is that like when my big brother ate all of my pudding. He did that once and then cried. It wasn't very nice of him.
Yeah, I think so. You see, there's this mean girl. She's given my friends and I a lot of trouble. Hard to keep up when things are like that, you know? Especially when you can't do anything. It's kind of scary. Makes you wish things will just stay as peaceful as they used to be.
Maybe she just wants to be friends with you?
I highly doubt that. She already hurt one of my friends.
What if she's just sad? Or maybe she just wants help. That's what happened with Melody. I let her borrow my crayon when she left hers. Now we're playmates.
It's not really the same thing, Kylie. What she did, they're pretty bad things.
I still think there's another reason. Did you try talking to her? That's what Mama said I should do.
I don't think that'll work either.
You haven't even tried yet. You sound like Rowan. You're just scared, mister.
That strikes a chord. Maybe the honesty in her tone or simply the truth in the words itself. I don't know why, but I can't help it. I laugh. Loud enough to disturb an elderly couple taking a leisure walk nearby.
Why are you laughing?
That's nothing. You're a really smart kid, you know that?
That's what I've been doing, innit? Go full speed ahead, then backtrack when the going gets tough. Stay in my safe zone because that's what I know. Wouldn't stop their narrow. Said I should be the first one willing to deal with my problem before anyone else. I didn't show up on our appointment after that. What's up, Luke? How you doing? But he's right. And though I have to admit it, knowing what I've seen, but the kid makes a good point too. I've been so caught up thinking there might not be a way. Maybe there isn't, or maybe there is. But that doesn't mean that I should just leave it up to fate.
You better get to school, though, or you'll miss sports day. You should have won yourself some awards, alright?
Alright. Can I show it to you when I do? That can cheer people up, right?
The distance her brother calls for her, and I took that as a sign to leave. Got things to do to face. First few steps to say.
I'm good now, I think. Thanks to you.
Happy New Year to you too.
Mister needs to go. But you should show it to Mama and Papa. I'm sure they'll be proud of you, Kylie.
I will. Thanks, mister. Bye.
I give her a little pat on the head before heading my way. Small gesture of thanks from a stranger she didn't know she may have helped. She may not understand it now, even though at such a young age she already has this understanding of things, but maybe when she's older, when the world no longer seems too big for her.
But aren't you going to help me, mister?
With what?
Confused, I glanced back. While they were here, our little tot has vanished under the shadows suddenly dancing in my eyes. This frigid air. Most definitely not how the morning chill she'll feel like. Bitter stinging, welcoming, and the kid.
What do you think, mister? Are you going to help me?
Leave us alone! What did we do to you?
Response never comes, however. Because when I blinked, gone.
Hello? Mister? Are you okay?
For several past seconds, I let my stare linger on her face, waiting for any sign that would never change. But all that remains in there is the carefree smile of a child, none of the bite, none of the cold, bloody smile.
I really need to go, Kylie. It was nice meeting you.
See you again, mister!
I break into a run. I don't look back, not even as I bump into a couple of passers-by as soon as I'm out of the busy streets. Going insane, this is what it is. And if we don't do something soon, we all will be. Tremors followed me even as I get home. I had hoped a little stroll around the block for a few hours would help. Instead, I am assaulted with more images of her smile, the loathing in her eyes, the stench of gore. Torture crunch that comes with every movement she makes. Even the old memories have been sullied by her, and Ma slang no longer sound as sweet as it meant to be. In the end, all I got is sinking feeling I will never be rid of her image, and another ridiculous idea that may or may not even work. The sun's already hanging low on the horizon when I make it back. For the first time, coming home feels more like a chore. Only I didn't arrive to an empty room, because as soon as I opened the door, I'm greeted by none other than...
Sup, Z-Man?
I told you we should have called him before going here.
It's fine.
If it's Ashton I see first, sitting comfortably on my couch, munching on a bag of chips with both feet propped atop the coffee table, wherever probably Stone has made a home at the pit of my stomach automatically flies right out the window at the sight of him. Before any aspiration considered, my attention taken by the other occupant in the room. Isabel perches on the only other chair in my room, attempting to make herself smaller, it seems, from how closely she's hugging her arms against her. Nevertheless, she gives me a smile when she notices my stare. Because somehow there ain't any warmth in it like it's supposed to be.
Hey, Zach. Sorry we just barged in here. Ash was...
Relax. Z-Man gave me a copy of the key himself.
Only after you broke the 13th one? I can't keep replacing them every time you think it'd be a good idea to break into my apartment. And stop calling me Z-Man!
I didn't break anything this time.
Ash, just because I gave you a key doesn't mean you can just stroll in here whenever you want to. And, hey, is that my...
Ash smirks at me because of course he has the gall to smirk knowing what he did. He pops in one. I figured like the last piece of chip into his mouth, and folds the wrapper neatly on the table before throwing it on the nearby trash. From her chair, Isabel shoots me an apologetic smile as soon as the foil hits the waistband with a doll sock. Common sense dictates that I should be angry. But after everything, having something normal play out in front of me, no matter how childish their antics can get, I can't bring myself to muster even a tad bit of it. So I cooler. Suddenly the television starts blaring the music for the end credits of a movie. They had likely been watching for a while if Ash had gotten impatient enough to rummage through the cupboards and watch something.
Of course he eats all of it. You know, I was saving that for the weekend. Did you at least share some with Bella?
Don't worry about it. I'm good, Zach.
Really? It's free food, you know. What was that you usually say? You don't say no to free food? What happened?
No, I'm just not hungry.
Ash only shrugs at the question in my eyes. I can't be the only one who finds this vibe she's giving off to be odd, and the guy has no doubt already caught wind to it.
Aye. But if you want something, just say so. I've got a fully restocked pantry right here at your disposal. Still not a 5-star level thing, but for an empty stomach, it'd do. Just say the word.
Thanks, Zach. Maybe next time. Food is not really what we came here for. Ash, he's the one who...
She casts a brief glance at Ash, and in an instant he sits up. Every trace of amusement is gone from his face as he claps his hands in front of me and leans forward. A gesture meant to ease, yet the grim expression on him tells a different story
All right,
altogether.
you two, what's this about? I don't like those looks.
A short but tense pause follows. What do you do? They're both stalling. Under normal circumstances, I wait. With these two, the more you force it, the more they'll clamp down on it. But as a handful of seconds continue to slip by, the unsettling feeling in me also grows with it. Soon it turns into impatience. Before I can demand a response, though, one of them finally picks up. It's Isabel who breaks it
just
first.
thought we should check on you. After what happened to Rose,
Please don't tell me something happened again.
No, nothing. None so far. And we're keeping it that way as much as possible.
Ash, it's not that easy. This isn't some...
We don't know that. Let me...
The bitter frustration in his tone is impossible to miss, but he catches it as soon as Isabel draws back. He allows himself a moment to breathe before dropping it for one less harsh, more tempered, gentler.
Let me look at this first, okay? I agreed to help, but you've got to let me handle things from now on.
I already told you everything.
There must be something we're not seeing in this just yet. We'll sort this out, but no more silly ideas and running around on your own. You're making people worry more than necessary. Becca, especially.
So everything's fine?
Depends on who you're asking. How are things with you? Anything odd?
Good, I guess. Admittedly, how things went down at the housewarming party last night threw me off a bit.
I'm not asking about that. Remember the letter thing Isabella's been yapping on about? I'm asking about that kind of odd.
Look at him. Gapped more like His serious expression doesn't waver despite the perplexed look I shoot him. There is a brief second I let pass as I wait for the heaven to fall somewhere. It doesn't come. The sky still bathed in vibrant reddish hues as it waits for the night to arrive. Brown is still the same busy city, and everything in my room still appears as it did a second ago, including the unnerving tickling of my water clock. But if Ashton, calm, cool, collected, always logical Ashton, takes interest in this, something or someone must have effed to shit up somewhere.
Well, the dreams, they're a lot worse than usual. There's a woman now, ever since we saw that letter. I don't know if it's the same one Isabella talked about. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't. I really don't want to go back to sleep sometimes. Last night was the worst. Anyway, why are you asking about this?
Rose's death isn't just a coincidence, Zach. It may have something to do with... I may have...
Wait, stop right there for a sec, Bella. I thought you ain't buying this stuff, Ash. Just the other day, you said the exact same thing.
I still don't, but even Rebecca, out of all people, claims there's something. Whatever this is, someone has got to look into it. Everything about this screams shady.
Are you sure you even have the time? Ain't you busy with your current case?
I got taken off that one.
You didn't say you were taken off your case.
I just got the news this morning. Apparently the higher-ups think I'm doing a horrendous job at it. It doesn't matter though. If these two cases are connected like I initially thought, then regardless, I'm on the right track.
Are you sure we should even be doing this?
Doing what exactly?
There's someplace we'll visit after this.
Too vague for comfort, Ash. And please don't tell me you're bringing her with you.
Affirmation comes in the form of a stare, but that alone says all I need to know. What I pointed out gives him a pause though, and his voice is thick with hesitation when he addresses
You know
Isabella.
what? Zach's right, Isabella. You don't have to come with me.
It's not myself I'm worried about. It's you. I'll just do this myself, if it'll get you into more trouble with your superiors. At least I can make up an excuse why I need to be there.
Don't be ridiculous. You're not walking in there without me. Besides, I think it's a little too late to back out now. Have you two seen the news this morning?
I haven't, actually. Mama called, and I was busy.
The change in the air around her, while small, could not have gone unnoticed, and it takes every willpower not to ask. Probably the only thing in my curiosity is the fact that Ash himself hasn't brought it up either.
No problem. It should be in the afternoon news as well.
He goes a moment and cycles through numerous channels until he gets to a news report about another guy who's been found dead in the early hours of the morning today. Burned alive this time. Oddly, no fire had spread and whatever damage had been contained was in the place the body was found. The room itself, however, had been completely vandalized. Help me. Another murder, the authorities claimed. Isabella and I knew better. None of us shifts even after the report ends, but the room has suddenly felt stifling. Ashton's eyes had gone hooded with what appears to be restrained anger, and the remote in his hand creaks mildly under his grip. The stone and bat in my head. Stone and bat in my stomach. A tiny little thing gripping at my insides, growing with every passing second as the dread sinks in. And the thick of it, Isabella's voice is the one that breaks the hush. It's my weak thing on its own that whispers unevenly between words, but every syllable heavy with meaning.
This is because of that thing, isn't it? I did this somehow.
When it fades, all that's left in the ear and heard is her doubt and fear, while all we can do is to cope. Is there something I can say to make her feel better?
It ain't too late. We could still fix this. There's 3 of us here. 4 if you count Rebecca.
No, she's staying away from this.
She lifts her gaze at me, eyes steady, shoulders squared as she holds it against the baffled look I give her. Although the next second it immediately softens and then takes me by surprise, nevertheless. Those brief moments, it's like I faced a different person.
I don't want to involve her in this any more than I already have. Both of you as well.
I already said it. That's completely out of the question. Stop asking.
Still in all, that's 2 extra heads who can do the thinking. Between us 3, I'm sure we'll figure something out pretty soon.
Don't make this whole thing sound like it's a piece of cake to deal with.
It ain't. But better than sitting around, yeah? Plan is still a plan.
You're going to shoot yourself in the foot one day with that kind of thinking. We don't even know who's doing this. The last 2 murders might just be similar incidents done by 2 different suspects.
Hasn't stopped you from going after them before. Remember that time when you...
Okay, stop right there. There will be no retelling of that incident today, Z-Man. Or ever.
Keep calling me Z-Man and maybe I will.
Suddenly Isabella laughs. Though muffled by her hands, it rings light and easy against the thick tension in the room. Still a far cry from the usual cheer she carries, but brings a welcome shift in the otherwise theory removed.
Thanks, you two.
I'll tell you about it when he's not around.
Give it up, Z-Man. She's not interested.
Who says I'm not?
Ash makes a fake but chuckles at the jest despite
Why am I
himself.
even friends with you two?
Well, that most of our worries Eve away, if only for a few seconds. Take their leave mere minutes close to sundown. Regardless of the letter moved, little has been said of their plans, only vague hints of what they're aiming to do after. Looking sure much love, man. While it ain't any of my business to know, something about this whole thing still gnaws at me. A tiny passing thought urges me to do something as well. I'm gonna stop the stream here, y'all.